I know that you hear a lot about the twin flame experience. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of tidbits from a different perspective. One, when you do mindful living and you are part of that spirituality group, the ones who have the open heartedness, you don't lose your innocence, you don't close your heart, you process emotions that arise, you are going to not do tragedy or stages because you're going to consistently be able to interact with your own self as well as with those who would be if you have a twin flame or twin flames. And that's because that's the divine feminine here who's presenting to you. You're gonna be your own divine feminine if you have the body, heart, and mind of you in harmony, which is why mindful living is in the mix as well as spiritual. And so you're a whole self. Okay? You have your 1 year old, your 3 year old, they're whole. So your twin flame doesn't complement you in the way of giving you the attachment figure because you don't need one. That's why you don't have tragedy and you don't do any of what you have heard out there denying the existence of them or not. Number 2 or 3 or 4. If you are a person who's wondering if you have one, then I'm going to say silence all of the noise and everything. And as a mystic, do you have clairs? My number one question. And then follow up is, did you see past lives? Okay. So if you don't have clairs, you don't have past lives, no. Just allow yourself to remember what relationships entail and how our brain works when breakups happen. Because there's limerence and there's also process of how the brain will work once it got rejected. And these are smart people who share them with you. I've shared a couple and or more episodes with that information. You can reach out. I'm happy to share some more. So that's number 2 or 3 or 4 again. And you don't have to have a twin flame to be within that lovely mystic community. Okay, so also that. And they are not needed for you to become spiritually awakened. You are spiritually awakened when you're awakened to the self of you, is how I'm going to pose it. You have an open heart and an open mind. And you love people. And you love all people. And you can unconditionally love. This is a 5D group. Okay, so we forgive and love unconditionally. We have whole selves. We're mindfully living. We're doing true spirituality, not the pretend type. So anytime your heart is broken, you don't say, I have laundry. You say, I have a broken heart. And then with those healthy self-worth men, women, and days, you will go and have healthy self-worth time. No drugs, no drinking, no fucking. None of the unhealthy business that people who need good therapy, they don't go and they live out that Pinocchio Island. So I'm trying to organize some stuff for you all so you can understand when you have healthy self-worth, when you have a child-centric environment, when you grow up with the example of what true love is, you are not going to be confused and you are not going to be destabilized by the twin flame experience because you're going to be, if you have one, for sure, and you know it first, you're going to be a divine feminine. That's it. You're not going to have other people meddle with what is yours. And when you do have other people meddle, so I had some people that wanted to meddle, and they meddled somewhat. And in the years of moving through everything that I did, I remember continuously taking it up with myself of the areas that I had involved external individuals and that I need to remove those people and what they spoke and what they perceived due to the fact that them tainting my stuff with their stuff is what was happening. So you're able to, again, as a divine feminine, organize your nurturing territory with an open heart. And so anyone who does the broken-hearted business will be removed out of your space because they're tainting it with what is their own unfortunate areas of their wounds. And they're not going to get the therapy for it. And they're not healing it either. So they keep on with fragments, bringing in bitterness, bringing in the competitiveness, bringing in what you will note. And that's all Cusco and Squirrel from Cusco Land, the Emperor's New Groove attitude and emotional stuff. So it's not good or bad, but it's people who are on that empowerment justice. They're not their own whole self, and they keep on having and harboring a specific type of energetic imprint that is beneath the neutrality belt. They don't ever even reach the pure consciousness enlightenment, because like that Zen master's laundry, they're going to still have laundry. Okay, so for a 5D mystic, what I can tell you is that we don't put anyone on pedestals. We are appreciative as we're expanding, because we'll know that they're supporting our expansion. We will harness the emotional stuff that comes up with our mental plane, and we will master our emotional mental plane and become more self-empowered, more enlightened, more expanded, more forgiving, more loving. And every step of the way, you're going to consciously be aware that that's what's happening, because a divine feminine doesn't have questions about her oversoul. She knows herself. This is, I know this. That's what it means to be your own divine feminine, by the way. You own this. And that's why you also own this. And this doesn't betray this ever. This doesn't betray this either. This says, hold on, we're not matching. Let's see what's going on here. And you bring in the inner growth mindset, because this and this work together open-heartedly and open-mindedly, not with an inner critic or an outer critic, with inner growth. So you objectively look at thoughts, emotions, not irrefutable facts. I have expectations. They have expectations. We're different. Okay, so you're consistently expanding consciously. And that's why you don't have a saga or a drama. You will have appreciation. You will have moments of you learning. You will have moments of you being upset. And then you'll have moments of you knowing that you're consistently being given the opportunity to walk a walk and talk a talk that you wanted to walk. Which, if you're pure consciousness, there's one walk a walk, talk a talk that you will want to embody. And as a divine feminine, what am I? I'm a nurturer. And that's why I will consistently be that. And so I become more of the nurturer. I become a better nurturer thanks to any and all masculines, whether they meet their potential or not, having crossed my path. They've allowed me to choose again and again and again how to keep what is called a naturally generous heart. My 1-year-old, my 3-year-old, my adolescent, and it's because I'm using a prefrontal cortex. So emotions and thoughts, they're not post-traumatic growth for those of us who know what emotions are. They are potentially called trauma charges. That is involving, again, your embodied brain, but you have the experience of yourself in the forefront. So people who do human suffering with their emotions, they think of our journeys as something suffering, because they use a temporal junction. The twin flame groups, they grab those pain points. In fact, they are in the temporal junction. They are using suffering, not let me explore emotions and then allow me to accept. And they all walk that path together with all those stages that you hear. So they don't know something like this. By itself, reality is simple. It is ignorance that makes it complex. Their ignorance is going to be how I'm going to equate it, is that they are ignorant of their self. They're ignorant of their child parts, and they're ignorant of becoming first their whole child parts, and they don't want to. They don't think they need to. And that's because they don't think that they are here to reclaim their generous hearts with all. So this is the part of why the therapy journey is, first you get on it, then when you're ready to forgive, you'll know what it means to have an open heart the way that I kept mine. Mine is thanks to lovely me choosing to speak my truth and be Maria, but also because my mom let me be that I'm wanted just the way I am, that I can become me, and that Jesus and God help me know that I will not be ashamed of what I have done. That's my integrity, not what people say. Which is also why when I hear people using Jesus or God to divide, I don't believe one word that comes out of their mouth, because the God that I got taught about in catechism is one that talked humble, don't play God, follow my son who forgave and walked with all people, don't cast a stone, and mind your own business. When it comes to what other people are choosing, that's their free will. They will, once it's their time, stuff like that. Now, to conclude, when you notice that the people who don't go, again, to reclaim their own childhood, and they're walking around, so they're Cuscos. They're all Cuscos. And the empowerment justice people, they look for bystanders to take their side. So those are the same people who you'll hear them talk about how there's karma, that's going to come back and bite you, right? Or that there's divine justice. And so, what I'm going to let you in on is yes, there's always going to be what you gave, you will get back. Okay, so if you provided hurt, you'll face this. That's something that there's no way to put it. People who are in the 5D collective, we will not see that as divine justice. We will not use that word or those words. We will not use them in the sense of, look, divine justice is being served. As you get older, you don't use words like that because those are arrogant. And those are people who are not remembering that they're just as flawed and imperfect as anybody else, so that we can all make mistakes. And that no one deserves to be in a body, a mind, or a life that has suffering. A person who wants to tell me they're part of a 5D collective will know forgiveness like the back of their hand here. And that will be humanity. It will be your humanity. You will know that you've never walked one day in somebody's shoes. You will feel compassion. This is the embodiment of an integration of the brain and restored embodiment, self-aware person with knowledge of humanity and without the stories, but with the fact that reality is simple. And my ancestors and our ancestors, it's simple why there's people who are vindictive and shameful and still prancing around the way they are. And doesn't make it complex to know of all of the different facets for me. So twin flames, soulmates, or none of the words. I still look at humanity the same way as I did when I was a kid. And I knew what God spoke. Free will. I gave it to you. Mind your own business. When the time comes, don't worry. You already know. I taught you the basics. Stay out of it. And I did know. And I still know. And in fact, I remember when I was talking about something, it was a while back, this was not anything to do with my twin flames, as I evaluated a series of events that took place with karma for people who did bring specific things. And I said that what was happening was that, and I was sad for this, and I said, you know what, since I have mysticism, I know how to use this energy sphere. I began to pray. I began to pray to clear our energy sphere. And I don't have proof of any of what I did, but I got confirmation at a certain point that what I did was successful. And that's because of me having relationship with these people. And I was happy. I was very happy. And then I got another gift, always with the same group of people. And I was clearing again. So clearing your energy sphere, if it's welcome also by others, which it was, is something very possible. And that's what I have to say, is that when I think of anyone that did bring hurt, I don't want them to have hurt. I will be sad and I will clear the hurt and do my part as a herd member and a mystic to, instead of harboring, or not even harboring, I won't sit back and watch and laugh and say, ha 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 ha. I won't do that. I'll be sad, and then I'll see if I can do something, and as a mystic I can, which is what I always do. So lighting candles, the white ones, and praying, or just saying, I wish for all to be cleared, and until you feel it, because you'll feel it. I remember feeling, in the first time I did it, it was something specific, and then I got some extra support by lovely archangels and angels. And then, now that I'm more accustomed and familiar with it, I actively just know how to share that. And then to wait till my energy body gives me the cue that it's all been cleared, and it's out of love, not out of fear. So, like, for example, I saw some video, people still looking into, what is it called, psychic takeover or something like that. Yeah, no. So if you are a person who's curious about my experience, let me know, even though sometimes I share about it. But yeah, nobody takes over anyone. But you have to be the one who owns your own embodied self first. And, well, again, I come with God and Jesus. So I already had I know if ever I meet, these demons that they're talking about, And then I got to become a mystic, and there's no demons. And then I got to learn about neuroscientist Patrick McNamara. So I bring it all together. No demons, humans. And if they have trauma, then they can get good therapy. So they're not a demon, they're a person. And that's it. They're not energy vampires, dark auras. They're a person. Their survival mode can be addressed. They can get healed. They have good therapists out there. The 5D mystics will know this, which is why they will also know there's no fear of anybody taking over, again, your energetic sphere. But the ones who are not believers in the scientists, I mean, I know, right? You'd think that they would, but that's the part of where they think that science is not. Yeah, that's the part. Anyways, 5D mystics, we know sciences and spirituality come together, and we don't want anyone to have any type of suffering. It's unnecessary because one, it's unnecessary. They can learn to use their prefrontal cortex and do mindful living. But two, even if they have a bit of a challenge at the beginning, they can do mindset and go to good therapy. Three, they can learn to regulate their nervous system. So see, suffering is completely unnecessary because they learn to self-regulate. They learn to use their mind and their brain entirely, and then have good relationships. And that's why, again, twin flame or flames, it's not going to destabilize anyone who owns who they are. It's just going to give you a lot of interesting and deep and more experiences. And we will be back with more on that note. But I can tell you that every step of the way, even when I didn't know what I didn't know, I still said, you're going to know. You remember, first time showed you what everything else is going to be. And really what it is that there's no reason to be afraid, because did anybody ever watch Aladdin? You know how when they're in the invisible plane, they can't touch you? So yeah, I was like, okay, I one, believe in God. Two, you can't touch me. Then I became a mystic, and now it's more like if anyone's ever in my energy sphere, when they've done it, that's all I do. And you move them out of the way. So we'll be back with more. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for stopping by.